Hey guys, it's Mike with another Guild Guardians video. Today we're on the main account. We're going to take a look at the brand new content with Gruff's Forge. So I'm really excited about this. It was kind of funny. My wife and I were talking about the game and talking about going through and sweeping all the dungeons and how we're missing the opportunity every time to go to the blacksmith. Well, now when you sweep the dungeons, you actually get a token, and the token comes through and allows you to come to the forge and do exactly what we were talking about. So that's one of the awesome benefits of the forge. You can grab a piece of gear here. It'll tell you what's refinable. You can pick which you want to refine and actually go in and refine it. So we're going to go through what we can do with gear. You can also do your special gear here, and we're going to talk about that as well. But I did happen to create a new piece of gear that I'm pretty excited about. Somewhere in here, we're going to find it. It's a helmet. There it is. And so currently Tuskgrog's using this piece of gear. It's a 15%er, but it's Cinder, and it doesn't have any crit rate at all. I just made this piece, which has crit rating and is 15 piece for Hydras. So we're going to go ahead and get that one moving forward for him. And then we're going to see about trying to get some more crit rate on T and Long, and then see if we can help out some crit rate maybe on Darizda. And so we're going to kind of utilize the forge, learn as we go, and then we're also going to jump into these guys here. I did launch the legendary Guardian gear episode yesterday, so that was actually really fortunate timing. And I'm working on the epic Guardian gear that should launch tomorrow is my goal. So so that would be kind of good timing. So in the interim, feel free to stack up those resources so that you can go ahead and get ready to refine some of those pieces and find out what you're looking to do. But we're gonna jump into that today and see how this whole forge is working out and where we get all of these resources. So to start out, I'm gonna go ahead and fuse a couple of these pieces that I've stacked up. We're gonna get these epic to get into a legendary. We're hoping to get domain 15%. For me personally, I don't necessarily see a benefit in trying to go through the forge and utilizing those resources for a piece that is not 15%. I think realistically over time you're going to want those 15% pieces on your account. So I would just go ahead and start the blacksmith on those specifically, and I probably wouldn't waste my time in other places. So we're going to make those boots there. Let's see if we have anything else. We have one other weapon, so we don't want to do that. I thought I had one more piece I could do, but maybe. Oh yeah, here we go. I'll grab these guys. I think there was 3 of those. Yeah, let's see if we can get a 15%er. There's a 12% in the Terra Guardian there. So we'll go ahead and fuse up these boots as well. Hopefully we can get a good pair of 15%er in Terra with HP. That's going to be perfect for flicks if I don't already have one. And then we'll probably try to get HP stats on these guys as well, or at least one of them. Probably hold on to the defense side and move to attack. So that'd be a good place to start. So let's go ahead and start there, because this is a great pair of boots for flicks. Being domain matching, HP is the main stat, and we have HP here. Try to get a secondary HP stat right there. So we're going to go over to the blacksmith. We're going to find those boots we just forged, which I believe are going to be these guys here. That's a 10%er, so that is not them. It's going to be these ones here. This is the one, 15%er. So we're going to go ahead and try to change the attack on this, and it says right here it's refinable. So we're going to try to change the attack and get HP. So it's going to cost us 8 of these silver stones in order to change this. Now you may only choose one attribute to refine per item. All others will be locked. So you only get to actually refine one of the substats, and then I think you can refine it repeatedly, but you have to refine that specific one. So we're going to give this a shot and see how this works, and we're going to say yes, and we want it went to defense. So we can reattempt with 8, we can revert and go back, or we can keep it. So we're going to reattempt, and hopefully we're getting back to attack, and we're going to reattempt and hopefully get HP. There we go. Okay, we're going to keep HP. So now that piece has an extra 27,000 HP, and as we level it up, 2 out of the 3 have the opportunity to get more stats in the HP, where flicks can start to get those higher HP for those bigger heals. Alright, so as far as using 8 of those silver tokens to do each refinable, to refine it each time, I think it seems to be a little steep, but I do think they're going to stack up pretty quickly. In the deep levels of challenge 3s, I think you're getting 2 of them per sweep. And then in the shallow earlier levels, I think you're getting 1. So I think the 48 you saw on my account are all from today. So I think they'll probably stack up pretty quick, so you can go in and refine your gear, and it'll be a far more enjoyable experience than going through the dungeon and doing one piece at a time. So I do feel like this is going to be a huge quality of life. I did run into a really weird situation. So it's showing here at the T6 gear, it's got the 3 substats and the 10% for Vulos. I do have a piece on my Tuskrog that is Hydrus. And it's a 15%er, but it doesn't show up there, and I think it's because none of the substats are showing up. And I'm not sure exactly what happened here, and I hope it gets fixed, because I'm pretty confident this one had crit rate on it, and it's a 15% that matches his affinity, so it's a great piece of gear. So hopefully that gets remedied. So I'm not entirely sure. I did just get that helmet that's a 15% Hydrus tier 6, so we're going to move that, and it had crit rate on top of it. So I got crit rate, I believe, on the weapon as well as the helmet. And then I have the 15% Hydrus boots as well. So I'm really just a 15% Hydrus chest plate, aside from having a complete set for Tuskrog. Ideally, I think I'd like to get him into defense boots. But I think as long as this piece here can have defense on it, I think that would make up for that. I think either way, I'd want this to be the opposite, so have an HP or defense. But that being said, let's go ahead and take a peek at Tuskrog's belt, see which stats we want to get on that belt, and then see about adjusting and upgrading it. So I took a peek at Woody's list. Unfortunately, he does not have Tuskrog's belt on there yet. So breaking down exactly what each of the things does is going to be a little bit hard. But that video for Epic Guardian gear is coming out tomorrow, and it will cover stuff like Flix's necklace and the other Epic Guardian, the Core 1 Guardians in the game, at least the ones that are mostly used. I think there's a pretty long list. I don't think I can cover all of them, but I'll probably grab like 6 or 7 of the most used folks. So with the Epic gear, there's going to be 3 chances of upgrading. We can do Winter's Howl, we can do Ice Shield, we can do Arctic Wolf. All right, so we jumped over to the main account. On this account, I do have Tuskrog's belt here with the Ice Shield. Ice Shield now also absorbs damage equal to 300% of defense for 6 seconds. The one I have on my main account is for the Arctic Wolf, and then the wolf himself will actually howl and increase all of the allies' attack by 10% for 6 seconds. So of the 2 of those, I think the Arctic Wolf is the better of the 2. But I'm not sure when he upgrades his main skill, Winter's Howl, what we're actually going to get out of that. So we might get an extra second or 2 of stun, might get more damage, could get potentially healing. I'm not entirely sure what happens there. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade that piece and see if we can find out what that third option is and which one of the 3 is the best. And that'll supplement our video for tomorrow, seeing how Tuskrog is not going to be on it because we don't have it on Woody's list. So let's go ahead and take a peek and see how that goes. All right, so we're back on the main account now. We're going to go into the blacksmith over here in the forge. And then at the very bottom here is the special gear. We're going to grab Tuskrog's belt here. So in this case, it says refinable the HP, so we could refine that to defense, and Arctic Wolf is refinable as well. We're going to start here and see if we can get defense on the belt. And we're going to go with, okay, it's just highlighted there, and we're going to hit refine. I'm not entirely, so this is just going to use rubies to refine this. By refining this, it might stick me to Tuskrog's Wolf, which I'm okay with just because that's exactly what we wanted. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and keep that. It only costs us 200 rubies. From there, it looks like we are going to be able to refine this as well. So let's go ahead and see if we can get his main ability, but we're going to need these purple stones. So let's see about where we find these purple stones. All right, so I found the purple stones. They're actually in the Endless store, and they're 1,500 a piece. I have been stacking up my Endless tokens, so we're going to buy a few of these. Probably buy 3. That's probably good. And then we'll sit tight on that, because now that we have the ability to roll some of this gear. See, I bought, I think, 5 or 6 Resist crossbows until I got the stats I wanted. Now this is going to make it so much easier to get everything dialed in the way you want. So I'm going to go back into the crafting. We're going to go back to the blacksmith, back into here and look at Tuskrog's belt. Then we're going to go into the Arctic Wolf and we're going to refine it. And we're going to see, hopefully the first try we can get his main ability. Winter's Howl, which is what we want. So after summoning, he gains 50% damage reduction for 6 seconds. All right, this is a tough one. So I think of the 3 options, these are the 2 best. So I can either revert back to what I had or keep the new one. The thing is, with the Arctic Wolf, he is increasing all allies' attack by 10%. So everybody's going to do more damage for 6 seconds. On Winter's Howl, he's going to be more tanky. And seeing how he's a tank, he's basically going to cut the damage reduction, or cut his damage in half for 6 seconds. So I think they both have merit. I think the 10% is a little bit weak, and I'm gonna go with the new one, Winter's Howl. But that might be a mistake, but I can always go back and change it later. But I think I'm gonna go with Winter's Howl. And so now we have the Winter's Howl on there plus defense, and we just made that piece for Tuskrog exactly what we wanted. If we take a look at Grizel's, in this case, we want to refine this Menacing Glance, because we want the one that we talked about yesterday on the video. We want Ghost, but we're going to need a gold ticket to do that, and those were pretty expensive. But we're gonna go buy one of them. As far as this, ideally we would also have Attack here, and so this is rubies, so we can go ahead and refine this. Hopefully get Attack. Boom, first try. That's been working out well for us, so we'll keep that. The other thing to consider when you're refining the legendary pieces is there's 4 options. So you have a 25% chance of getting the one you want. So that is just something to keep in mind. But we're going to jump back out into the shop, get over to the Endless store, and buy a legendary one, which I think were, what were they, 3,000? Oh, 3,000. All right, we're going to buy 2 of them. Oh, man, 6,000. Takes so long to stack those up. Now I'm down to 3,800. But that's what I do for you, so you don't have to. So we're going to go back in here and see if we can get that piece to have the substat of Ghost. The reason we want Ghost is it's going to does 50% of attack. It increases the person she links to attack by 50%, which is going to be a huge win for a damage dealer, either my Tianlong or potentially a Darizda, specifically in... This was the secondary one I kind of liked, was she heals herself as well as the ally. But that's not the one we want. We're going to reattempt it. And hide and seek, the stunned enemy suffers 50% more damage. Neither one of those is what we wanted. So we're just going to go, and we're actually going to revert back to that. And that one is going to be better than the previous one I had. But it's not Ghost, and that's what we were hoping for. But we did get her into attack. So we're going to have to save up. We can actually buy one more of those and hopefully get it. Let's see here. We'll jump back into, we'll test my luck. So we'll jump back in here, grab one more of these bad boys, and we'll be down to 800. Oh, 800. I had 14,000. They go so fast. So we'll go back in here, hopefully get what we're looking for out of that Ghost ability. But going back to what I was saying, you'd only want her to follow Darizda specifically in Arena, and that way that extra 50% attack is going to Darizda's main ability of Linear Assault. And that Linear Assault is what she's going to be doing for probably the first 10 seconds of the fight, probably killing 1 or 2 of the enemies before they even get to their main abilities. But we're going to go refine this one more time and hope for Ghost. We want Ghost. And we got back to Menacing Glance. So we're going to leave it and revert back to Psychic Link. That is the better of the 2. We just blew through 9,000 endless tokens. So I wanted to run through the process of how Gruff's Forge works and how to upgrade different pieces and where you get the materials to do those things. So I think we touched base on all of those upgrades. The one thing I will say is it's kind of difficult when you look at some of these substats, and I got this question and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to answer it. So you have like magic defense, magic power, you have crit defense rating, evade, magic resist. And some of them you'll have, I'm trying to find one that has it. Here you go, like Umbrous Piercing and Soulless Piercing. I think they changed the verbiage on that because I think it was Soulless Vulnerability and Soulless something else. Resist. So they've changed it to Piercing versus Resist. So one thing I'm still working with is on some of these substats, you see like Terror Resist, Physical Resist. You also see stuff like Soulless Piercing, Magic Resist. Some of it I think is fairly self-explanatory, but I do think that some of it is a little bit vague. So if you're interested in actually upgrading these pieces, it would make sense to know what each of them does completely. Like the Terror Resist is going to, I'm assuming, resist damage from Terra Guardians. So that seems like a very specific and niche thing. But I'd also be curious, can I actually get crit rate here? Because if I can get crit rate here, I'd rather have total physical resist, because that's everybody, instead of a Terra Resist. If I were to refine this, it's going to cost me these stones. I can come in here and I should be able to continue to refine this particular attribute, but now I have Umbrous Piercing, which means I think I'll do 24% more damage to Umbrous champions. I'm going to go ahead and reattempt, and we're going to go to Cinder Resist. And I think we're going to go ahead and keep that. But I'm assuming by keeping that, I should still be able to... So this one's still refinable. So hopefully I can keep refining this until I get like crit damage resist or crit damage in general. I don't know that crit damage is actually a substat you can get here. I believe I've seen crit rating twice on a piece, so getting a secondary crit rating stat would be amazing for Tianlong because he's my major damage dealer. So I feel like knowing what all of the attributes are and how they affect the game a little bit with greater detail would be super beneficial. And I need to look into, Woody might have put something together like that where it's jumping into the back end and kind of being a little more detailed than what I'm capable of, because I don't really have the ability to look at what's happening as far as the code in the back end of the game and say, okay, well, this resist is going to be doing, it works in this way. So the best I can tell you is when a Cinder Guardian is hitting or doing damage to Tuskrog, he's got an added 27.7% damage reduction to whatever Cinder is sending his way, I think is how this plays out. But to me, is that better than having just 10% physical resist? I think the 10% physical is going to be every Guardian every time, as opposed to 27% being some Guardians some of the time. But if I can get crit rating here, I feel like I would definitely rather have that. So I'll keep plugging away at that. The other thing to consider too is this is an Umbrous piece at 15%. So this isn't, it doesn't match his affinity. So this won't be the piece I'll be using on him long term. Eventually I'll get some that matches affinity, just like I'm doing with Tuskrog. So doing double crit rate on an Umbrous piece, it may end up being a non-damage dealer that I put this piece on. All of a sudden they have double crit rate when something else could have been better. So that's something to consider as you're working through some of this kind of in-game gear. But he's already teased that Tier 7 gear may be on the horizon. So all the gear that I have now is probably going to get replaced with that when it does come out. So I think it's a good time to learn and kind of go through and see what we want to do. But we also don't want to burn a lot of resources on gear that we're not going to be using either. So that's something to consider as well. But this is just one day of gear, of materials that we've gained. So I do feel they will stack up and we'll have the ability to kind of have a better idea what they do moving forward. But ultimately, I think Gruff's Forge is an awesome addition to the game. It is right here. It's kind of hidden back over here in the blacksmith. And then you can kind of go through and look at different materials. Also gives you kind of a cool glimpse on organizing the pieces of gear that you have on your account. It's a nice way to see everything all in one glance. Which is a kind of an effective way to do that. But I do have this helmet to build out for Tuskrog. I'll probably have to sacrifice some pieces to get some upgrade materials to get it onto him. But that's pretty exciting. And then I also got those boots for Flicks. So that's 2 big wins for the account today. But I think that's what I got for you on Gruff's Forge. It's an awesome new piece of content to the game. I'm sure more stuff will come out as we play with it. But I wanted to kind of give you a jump start and a head start of what I thought about it and how to utilize it and where to get the resources. So thank you for spending your time with me here today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.